This one is for all of my fellow 90s kids and Disney fans. Today, I'm going to make an easy to print, easy to assemble Cogsworth clock. And yes, he works. Dr. Operator and can be found on MakerWorld. I printed this project on a bamboo H2D and an X1 carbon. I used a brown, tan, white, black, and pink PLA along with a gold silk PLA and a transparent PETG. This project also uses a bamboo clock kit and 8 4x2mm magnets. Everything will be linked in the description below. Let's check out the build. I am super excited about this build. I'm gonna make Cogsworth with the grumpy face because he can't be smiling. That's just weird. So I have all my printed pieces and I'm gonna start by getting rid of the supports and all the strings from printing. And I'm just gonna smooth off his little burrs with some 80 grit sandpaper. And I'm gonna remove the supports from the arms and the middle of his head. I didn't use the supports on the head or anything, so this one was super easy to print. And now we are ready for assembly. So we're gonna start with his face. I'm gonna put the clock kit and then the arms of the clock and his nose on first. This is the MH011 clock kit that is available on Bamboo's website. And this fits right into his face perfectly. We don't need the hands that come with the kit for this one, as we printed them out. But we are going to use the hardware. So I'm going to use the nut to attach this to his face. And I'm going to tighten that down so this doesn't move. Next, I'm going to attach the hour hand, and this should slide right on. Perfect. Then we're going to take the nose piece that has the hole in it, and there's a little notch here to fit the arm of the hand, and that just slides right on. Then I'm going to attach the minute hand, and the minute hand slides right on. And finally, the nose cap, which also has another space to fit the arm, and this should just snap right on. And there we go. We have his finished face. Next, we're going to attach the fin on his head. This should snap in. Beautiful. Next, we're going to put in little gold decorations here. So there's the front, and I'm going to do the same thing on the back. That was really easy. I'm going to clean out the area here to put the magnets. Next, we are going to slide the face into the back of the head. And there's actually an edge here on the inside that will stop the face from going too far forward. So we're going to gently push the face in all the way to that point. And there we go. The next step is to put the magnets on the backing here and then the back of the head so that this stays closed. Now let's pick out some magnets. Size 4. So for this one, I am just going to use regular super glue. I don't want to use miter apple on this because I don't want the activator spray to leave any residue on the outside of my finished piece. So you just want to make sure that the magnet is fully seated. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So those magnets are in the back of the head. The super glue is going to take a little bit of time to dry. So I'm not going to do the magnets on this part yet, or I'm going to risk pulling them out. Next, we're going to start assembling the base. So the first part is to put one of these gold plates on the feet. So these are actually oriented in a certain way and they match up with the holes in the plate. So this should just slide right on. So you want to make sure that on the front and the back, when all of his feet are on, there's going to be a little archway underneath. So those are all down as far as it can go. Next goes this brown midsection. And the second gold plate. Make sure everything is snapped together tightly. And then we are going to attach this base plate. The creator recommends super gluing this piece on, so that's what I'm going to do. And there we have his completed base. And I'm going to go back to the magnets. So to line up the magnets correctly, you always want to match the one that you've already glued down so that you know the correct orientation, because if you glue them in the opposite polarity, it will not stick. So stick them down so that you know it needs to go in that way. Make sure you line up your piece correctly, and then we're going to glue. And I know that this bottom part is the side that needs to be facing out, so I'm going to take the magnet off and flip it over and stick it in that way. So now those should stick. I'm not going to test it yet because my glue is still wet and that'll just pull the magnet right out of there. But I'm going to move on to the second one. So there we have our two magnets, and I'm going to let those dry for a couple minutes and then we'll go back and test it. Next up is the door. His little tie is going to slide right into this notch, like so. Super cute. This is directional, so there's only one way that you can put it in. You can't mess it up. Then I'm going to take this really cool transparent piece, which I made for the door, and it just snaps right on. Transparent PETG is very brittle, so just be very gentle when you're snapping it onto these little pegs, and you shouldn't have any issues with it breaking. So there we have the completed door. I went with transparent because I want to put a little tea light in there and see what he looks like all lit up. Next, we are going to start assembling the body. There's some support material in here that I am going to remove because I think that's going to make assembly a little more difficult than it should be. Okay, so his arms slide right on. So there are his arms. Next, we are going to attach his body to his legs. This is another step where the creator recommends super gluing it down, so I am going to do that. So now we have his body attached to his legs. Let's test out our magnets. This just pops right in and they work. We're going to attach his head, another part that it is recommended be glued down, so I will do that. I'm gonna put a battery in here and let's set the time. So we can put back of his head on. Last bit is the door. So he does have magnets that go on the door here. So I'm gonna use the exact same size magnets that I used on the back of the head, which is size 4. And I'm gonna start by gluing the ones into his body first. I'm gonna let this dry for a few minutes because again, I don't want to pull the magnets out on accident while I'm trying to seat these other ones. So I'm gonna go get a little tea light. Okay, so I have some of these bamboo LED flame tea light candles and they're super cute when they're turned on. It kind of looks like a little flame. It's got a flicker to it. I'm going to do these last 2 magnets and then we'll put the tea light in and we'll see how it looks. All right. So we're doing the top one first. Okay, let it dry for a minute and then we'll put the door on. So let's attach the door. This has just little snap-on hinges, so it should fit on very nicely. Snapped right in. Beautiful. And there we have the finished Cogsworth. I want to see what the tea light looks like inside. Let's see. It's cute. Super cute. And here is the finished Cogsworth. I love how this came out. He is totally nostalgic. I love his attitude. And if you want, you can add a little tea light in here for a little extra glow. Here are my rankings for this project. Ease of printing. I'm gonna give this one a 10. I highly recommend leaving the files as is when printing this one. I tried to get fancy and make use of the big new print bed on the H2D, and I tried to consolidate too many pieces and forgot to re-enable the supports on it. That's why I had so much post-processing on this one and the strings and stuff that I had to take off. So don't make the same mistake I did. You do need an AMS when printing this one, both for his feet and for his face, unless you want to pause the print and switch out filaments, but I definitely recommend using the AMS. If you don't like his iconic grumpy face, there's also an option to print it with a smile. Ease of assembly, I give this one a 9. Barring the fact that I did this print without re-enabling the supports and had to do so much post-processing, all of the pieces snapped together beautifully. The instructions were great and really easy to follow, and everything went together fairly quickly. I definitely recommend using regular super glue on this one. Don't use miter apple because the activator spray is probably going to leave a really nasty residue on the outside, and you don't want to ruin this perfection. This finished piece is straight off the printer bed. I didn't have to paint it, and it's a working clock. This is perfect for beginners, especially if you just got an AMS and you want a project to try it out on. This is a really good starting one. I mean, seriously, look at this. Right off the printer bed, assembly, done. It's a working clock. How cool is that? If you liked this video, I have some really big projects, including my first ever collaboration, which I'm really excited about coming up. So hit those like and subscribe buttons to stay up to date with everything that I'm doing. Drop a comment in the section below or give me suggestions for another project. And I will see you on the next one.